faculty, and students. I'm Kapila Shekhawat, and I welcome each one of you on behalf of the Postgraduate School, IARI, to this very special lecture on the occasion of National Youth Day. So, National Youth Day or Rashtriya Yuva Divas, as you all know, is celebrated in India every year on January 12th since 1985. The day is celebrated to mark the birthday of Swami Vivekananda, who was one of the most influential leaders in Indian history. Due to his immense contributions to inspire the youth through his teachings and quotes, his birthday has been celebrated as the National Youth Day in India. His ideologies and philosophies have always been driving and motivating all of us to keep moving on new and emerging paths. So, first and foremost, I invite Madam Dr. Anupama Singh, Honorable Dean and Joint Director Education, IRI, for the welcome address and also request her to kindly introduce the Honorable Speaker of today's lecture to the August gathering. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kapila. Thank you very much. A very warm welcome to today's function, Honorable Director IARI, Dr. AK Singh, sir. The speaker of today, Dr. Meena Mishra, the Director and Chairperson of the Brain Behavior Research Foundation of India, Project Director WTC, Dr. Mansingh, our worthy HODs, professors, faculty, staff, students, and project staff, and our colleagues from the outreach institutes and the sister institutes of IARI. A very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the PG School and on behalf of the IARI to this event of today, which is the National Youth Day. And I am very much thankful to our Honorable Director IARI, who so kindly agreed to be here for out of his busy schedule and to just be here as the president of this function today. As we all know that as Dr. Kapila has already briefed, the day is to mark the youthfulness that was there in the mind, body, and spirit of our ideal Swami Vivekananda ji, in whose memory this day is celebrated every year, and it started in 1984. And this year's that theme is Vikasit Yuva Viksit Bharat. And if we look into the deep end of it, then the youthfulness in each one of us is what will take the India to reach to the missions that we all have set within us, and precisely to dwell upon more on that. So more than a very healthy body, it is the healthy mind actually that sets the tone for everything. So then Director Sir agreed for this particular topic, and I'm again thankful to him, because we have here more than Dr. Mishra, we have here more than 1,300, 1,400 students today, who represent a big force of the youth of the country, and IARI being the premier institute of the country to take the country ahead on from the agriculture sector side. Then this becomes the most apt occasion to have invited you to deliver the lecture on the positive psychology, because the word positive itself sends the positive waves in our mind and body. So the positive psychology for the stress management in youth, and I'm so thankful that you so kindly agreed at such a short notice. So having given the job of introducing you to the audience, so here I take this. Dr. Meena Mishra, she is the chairperson and director of the Brain Behavior Research Foundation of India, New Delhi, and that works precisely for mental health in a scientific manner. And Dr. Meena Mishra is a cancer specialist by training and by profession, treating the cancer patients. She has the experience and she has worked at Fortis Memorial Research Institute, Gurgaon, and she has special interest in the neuro-oncology and the brain behavior. And that the very fact that in spite of her ground training in the field of oncology, she is a director of a brain behavior research institute. So that speaks about her passion for the youth. So she has many research works to her credit during her career of 16 years post-MD, and has international and national publications and her presentations in conferences. She worked as the, so her working dictum, it includes: a good psychological support should be the backbone of healthcare. Quality of life is more important than quantity of life. And success of life depends on knowing your brain and psyche and working accordingly. So this is what, her CV reads like. And as regards the mental health initiative that Dr. Meena has taken, that she conceived and organized the innovative, the Positivity and Conclave 1 and the Positivity Awards 1 in December 2019 to spread the importance of positivity personality traits in the journey to success for creating a human society. And then she was the expert speaker at various national and international forums, and she won the Shining Star Award of the Vocart Foundation on 7th July 2022. She also won the Great Indian Woman Award, India International Women Forum on 4th September 2021, and she is also the winner of Iconic Independent Woman Award by the Health Society of Menstrual Hygiene and Menstrual Disorders. So that speaks about the volume of, vivaciousness that her personality and her profession carries. So with these few words, I further, request our Honorable Director, sir, to kindly give his introductory remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Anupma, and I would also like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Meena Misra, to the seat of Green Revolution, the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, which is popularly known as Pusa Institute. This institute is almost 117 years old. It was established in 1905 in Eastern Province of India in Darbhanga district. And then it was shifted to Delhi in 1936 following a massive earthquake at that location. And since then, we have been participating very actively in agricultural research, education, extension. And we have had luminaries like Professor M.S. Swaminathan, who was a pioneer in bringing green revolution in the country, self-sufficiency in food grain production. And also we are deemed to be universities, and we have bachelor. Now we are starting bachelor, master's, and PhD program we already have in 25 disciplines. So we have good student force. And these days, as you know, that life is quite stressful. And more so for the youngsters because of the increasing competition in life for achieving the newer heights. And in that process of competitions, always there is stress, and this stress results into many times disappointment and discouragement and things of that kind. And under these situations, I think the celebration of National Youth, this International Youth Day, and also the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, the mental health is so important. And everybody has, good thoughts and bad thoughts, but it's important to bring up the good thoughts for the overall development of the individual and society. And that's what I think Dr. Misra's specialization and her lecture is going to be, I'm sure, very, very useful. So once again, I welcome you heartily, and I request you to kindly deliver your lecture. Thank you.
Dr. Mishra, you may kindly share your slides. Dr. Kapila, we can enable Dr. Meena to share her slides, please.
My slides are visible?
Yes, ma'am. They are quite visible. Please.
Good afternoon. Namaskar. Thank you so much, Dr. Anupma Singh, Madam, for giving me this opportunity to be here, and a heartfelt gratitude and congratulations to the Director, sir, for thinking in terms of enabling the youth on a very important day, which is the National Youth Day that we are celebrating today. So any day that we are celebrating, it's just a method or a way to revisit the importance or the philosophy that lies behind celebrating that day. It gives us a chance to revise, basically to revise. So we are revising again the ideals and the principles by which Swami Vivekananda ji led his life. And so here we are. So dear students, because they are the youth of today and tomorrow, their teachers who are the guidance, who are giving them guidance and giving them all-round knowledge of life skills. Today we are here to basically understand. This is not a lecture, I would say. Let this be as interactive as possible. And if there are questions in between, I would be, very, very happy to answer them as well. I would be asking certain questions, if that's okay with Dr. Anupma, that people can respond in between as well. So that will be highly interactive. And this is not a lecture, let me tell you, because all of us have this knowledge. We all have it. It's just that with time, you need to keep on revising it, because once you revise it, it becomes a habit. So we'll start off with our this slide, this particular picture that you are seeing. I would be very happy if, with the picture of Swami Vivekananda, you have seen so many images. You have seen n number of images on the internet. Some are black and white, some are colored, some are just sketches. So what do you see as is, in this picture, if anybody can point out, what is so special about this picture?
He is very attentive and his eyes are, shining.
Yes.
The rising sun, ma'am.
An aura
Yes.
around him, the positivity
Yes.
aura around him.
Yes. So it is the positivity. Of course, the concentration and the his face shows the seriousness of his personality, the seriousness of his ideals that he carries with him at such a tender age, I would say. But why I particularly selected this picture because it sort of gels with the topic that we are discussing today, and that is positive psychology. Because this picture, whoever has framed this picture, because it was definitely not Vivekananda ji himself who has done it, but whoever has done it wants to show him as the rising sun. And when we will go through in the next slide, we will go through his basic philosophy of life. We will realize that this rising sun was the sun of positive living and positive attitude. And we will see so forth. So a little bit has already been, about him has already been taken care of in the introductory speech. But just for the students, for the benefit of students, let's revise it, that he was born on 12th January 1863, and he was originally known as Narendranath Datta. He was the basic preacher of Vedanta philosophy. He wanted to spread the knowledge of Vedas, which is still our rich cultural heritage, to the West, that philosophy, but with a twist. He wanted to merge the Eastern philosophy with the philosophy of the West. So we all know that our philosophy is basically based on spirituality, whereas Western philosophy is what we call materialistic philosophy. So he says he was of the opinion that both can coexist and they can help a person in living a fruitful and a contributory life. So that is what his main motto was while he went around the world giving so many lectures, delivering speeches to the youth. And the most famous is the Chicago Address that we all know. And we must also know that he wanted education for everyone. He was the first person. So that was way back in 1863, much before we gained, independence. We were still slaves. And in those times, he was so ahead of his time that education was his main philosophy. And that is what he wanted, for our country, that people should be educated. So these are the two philosophical quotes that I have come across, where I wanted to basically portray his thoughts on positive psychology. So in a day when you don't come across any problem, you can be sure that you are traveling in a wrong path. Now, this, if you say, why is it related to positive psychology? Because once you read and reread it many times, you will realize that the basic core of this quote of Vivekananda is that you should learn to first accept the problems in your life. That is the more positive way rather than rejecting it. And who says there are no problems in the lives of students? They have so many different issues. They have so many problems related to their studies. So for them, that is a big issue. So for the students, I say that whenever there is a problem that you are facing, first you have to learn to accept that problem. And this was one of his philosophies. And the other is, all power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Believe in that. Do not believe that you are weak. Do not believe that you are half crazy lunatic. Most of us do nowadays. Because while even saying something, oh, I was so stupid in saying this. So you should not do this. You should always appreciate yourself. Even when you have done something wrong, accept that wrong. This is what he meant by this particular quote. You can do anything and everything without even the guidance of anyone. So stand up and express the divinity within you. So such powerful words he used to convey through his lectures to the students and the contemporaries all around the world at such, in those times, way back in the 19th century. So coming back to the theme of today's lecture, what is positive psychology? We all are talking and hearing so much. So it was the original concept was given by Dr. Martin Seligman. And positive psychology is, in very simple terms, nothing more than this. It's a scientific study of human strengths and virtues. So you would be listening to so many gurus, so many priests, giving sermons, and they are trying to, sort of correlate day-to-day living with preachings of the Vedas, of the Gitas and Mahabharata, and so on and so forth. Whereas positive psychology is a scientific study, because here Dr. Martin Seligman has tried to correlate the day-to-day positive living with the processes that are happening in the brain, and he has done a lot of research on it, and then he has evolved with a basic tips and tricks, which I will be sharing in the due course. And what positive psychology does is that it studies what people do right and how do they do it. That does not mean, you have to understand, that in our day-to-day activities, of somebody who is practicing positive psychology or who is very positive does not do anything wrong. They do wrong, but how do they make it right? That is the course that we all need to understand, and we need to try to practice in our own lives. And there is no standard formula, to each his own. And in the course, you can be given guidance, you can be given a general guidance, but each situation, each individual faces is different. So you have to devise your own sort of formula for that particular situation while you are practicing. So you can see a very powerful picture here, where you can see a face which is sad and a face which is smiling. And then there are a pair of shoes. So these are the situations that we are facing each and every day. I'm sure when Dr. Anupma must be deciding yesterday about whether or not to conduct this lecture or which lecture to conduct, this is the situation that she must be in those shoes. So she chose the smiling one, the positive, the positive psychology lecture. So similarly, in every small situation on a daily basis, whether to eat the junk food or a healthy food, that itself is a big struggle nowadays. So these are the choices that we have to make on a daily basis. And that is why I particularly say that practicing positive psychology is a practice. It is not something that you can learn. It is not something that can be, given to you at one go. It has to be made a habit. It has to be practiced till it makes you perfect, till it becomes a part of your personality. So let's see how positive psychology works. Positive psychology works at 3 levels. First of all, it works at a subjective level. Subjective level would be in terms of emotions, like you're feeling happiness, you're feeling joy, satisfaction with life, relaxation, love, and intimacy, contentment. So while I'm speaking those words, can you just tell me how many of you, or you just listen to yourself. So whenever I'm speaking these words, there is a certain amount of calmness that is going on in your mind. Your mind is not agitated, or I would say a little bit happy while you are listening, even listening to these words. So imagine how much more happiness you will derive and satisfaction you will derive once you are practicing it in your daily life. And happiness is a choice. Always remember this. You can choose to be happy or you can choose to be sad, because your happiness depends on yourself. So going back to the quote that I was reading out to you by Swami Vivekananda ji, because everything, your happiness, your joy, your success, and your failures, everything is in your hand. So it's what you choose. So coming down to the individual level. So how does positive psychology work at the individual level? It's a study of traits such as courage, persistence, honesty, or wisdom. So these are few of the traits that are, generated once you are practicing positive psychology. These traits are generated on an individual level, and then these traits will give to the subjective level that I just spoke about: happiness, joy, contentment, and etc. Then the third is the group or the societal level. That also is very important, because it's not only us, it's the environment around us. But a positive person, a person who is practicing positive psychology, always remember, will always make an unfavorable situation around him into favorable over a period of time. That is how powerful positive psychology is. So in a group or societal level, there are certain examples of development of civic virtues, creation of healthy families, healthy work environments, and positive communities overall, and then as a positive nation. So these are the three levels on which positive psychology works. So we have to start with the individual level, because that is where the change will happen. So here I am showing a few pictures. If there are 3 or 4 pictures that I have shown, so I would really like any one of you to tell me what all these 4 pictures represent, what kind of emotions it is generating. So here I'm talking about the subjective level. Anyone can try. If we have students, it would be lovely if the students can answer this.
Can you just repeat your question, ma'am?
I've got these 4 pictures here in this particular slide. I would like each of the students, either one or one student can answer all. What emotions do these pictures represent? Or what particular traits? So it's a mixture of traits. And the previous slide that I have covered, how positive psychology affects at the subjective level, at the individual level, and at the societal level. So these pictures are a representation. So they are sort of an assessment also, whether the students have understood what I have told them in the previous slide. So if there are students, if there are any students, they can answer.
Students, please come forward. We have many.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
I am actually myself Lokeshwari. Here in this picture, happiness, joy, that couples they were there now. Their happiness, joy. There this plant on the dry field, I think it is somewhat sad. It's indicating or something. Then this
What trait do you think it is signifying? This picture is signifying a trait.
Like that subjective traits, it's the happiness, joy, those things.
No, an individual trait.
Okay.
It's isolation.
We can try better.
Happiness in the, even happy even in the adversities. This single plant on the barren
Single
soil.
plant on a barren soil. This shows that despite all, all the negativities around you, you can
Survive.
grow into a healthy. Yes, you can grow into a healthy plant, and that is persistent. So even in adversities, you grow. So this is what this.
One of
soil-
our students is, defining it as a resilience.
Resilience.
Yeah.
Resilience could be a grown plant, because this plant is very small.
Ma'am, this
It's
shows
just
hope.
like a ceiling.
So this
Yes,
shows
this
hope
shows
also.
hope.
Yeah.
Yes, this shows hope also. Persistence is the trait and hope is the emotion. Right. And there is this caricature that you are seeing.
So one is saying that for this caricature that be calm in the chaos also. One of my students is saying.
Yes. Be calm in the chaos. Then there is something about spitting anywhere. So that is also a bad civic sense, or actually no civic sense. So all these dirty pictures, dirty areas are seen in this caricature. So this is not going to give you a very nice feeling. So and then there is a sort of a couplet which is written here in one of the pictures. So it's something about hatred. It's written in Hindi. So I don't know, many of you may not be, able to decipher if you don't know Hindi very well. So this means sort of this, if you read this, this will generate a feeling of sadness, sometimes a feeling of hate. So here I want to emphasize that once you are forming or, going into the path of positive psychology practice, what you hear, what you see, what you read is equally important. And you have to choose what you see, what you hear, what you speak, and what you read. Yes. So this is very important. This is the message that I wanted to convey, that, first see that picture and then you try to understand the emotion that this picture is generating. And that is, a way of reinforcing what is said in so many texts. So let's see what stress is. So a little bit of stress is always required because it helps us to function actually. So if you don't have a stress of getting up on time in the morning, you will be missing the bus to the office. You will be arriving to the office late. Students will be late for class. So any stress which is giving you a positive outcome, you will not call it stress. It turns into motivation. But any stress that is giving you unhealthy emotions, it is giving you an unhealthy reaction in the body, it upsets your day-to-day functioning, that is what we are talking about here. It is unhealthy stress. And the stress can be acute, it can be chronic. Acute could be many reasons. Sometimes you are on the bus and you realize that you have forgotten something, and suddenly you turn, what are the emotions that you can experience when you have forgotten something? You very well know. All of us have gone through that in our lives. Oh, it was I forgot my ID card. Oh my God. So that's an acute form of stress. But then if you have trained your mind, if you are at a certain advanced level, then you all right, no problems. You try to calm down your mind. Okay, let's see what will happen. I will apologize. You try to find out a way of getting out of that situation. Then other form is a chronic stress. So this chronic stress could be mental and it could be physically induced as well. Sometimes we are sick for a long time, so that when you are sick for a long time, it adversely affects your brain. So from the physical, you reach to the mental level. And then this cycle continues until your body becomes healthy. So once your body becomes healthy, then only you become mentally healthy as well. So once we are talking about stress in terms of adopting positive psychology in our day-to-day practice, it is the unhealthy stress that later on affects our body. we are talking about here. And moving on to the next. Because we are scientific people here, there are students of science and teachers of science. So I thought that it would be better that you understand the basic science behind the stress, how stress affects our body. It's very essential to know, because then only you will take measures to counteract it. So the picture that you see on your left is a picture of a brain, and these three centers, the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and the hippocampus. These three centers are responsible for all the behavioral and cognitive functions, as well as regulating the autonomic and the hypothalamo-pituitary axis stress response of the body. So let's see how the prefrontal cortex is affected. So if there is a chronic stress, the medial prefrontal cortex neurons, there is seen an increased debranching and shrinkage of the dendrites. So that leads to cognitive rigidity. On the contrary, the orbitofrontal cortical neurons, they expand, leading to increased vigilance. So as a result, what do we experience? So these are the changes that have taken place in the prefrontal cortex. But as a result of these changes, what you see is age-related loss of resilience, the ability to fight, and if there has been a chronic stress, if somebody has been a fighter throughout or has been fighting a situation for a long time, you will see that towards the end they give up. So that happens because there are changes that have happened in the prefrontal cortex. Then second is impaired memory. Third is circadian rhythm disruption, which means your sleep and wake cycle gets disturbed. And as a result, your entire hormonal balance goes into a toss. The fourth is the extension of fear memory, as in when sometimes the contrary also happens. Then people who have faced obstacles in life, there comes a time in life when they stop being afraid of obstacles. They start, in fact, loving it. So this also is a change, that has happened because of the changes taking place in the prefrontal cortex. Moving on to the amygdala. The amygdala, as you can see, is that red bean-like structure that you are seeing in the picture. That is the amygdala. And in this, the acute traumatic stress in the amygdala causes an increase in the spine density of the neurons that are there, the nerve cells that are there. There is an increase in the spine density, because in an acute phase, what is the response? What is your sudden response? Is to get out of that acute phase. So as a result, there is an increase in the spine density. Whereas there is the basal and the lateral part of amygdala, where neurons, whereas in a chronic stress, that leads to the expansion of these basolateral amygdala dendrites. So in a acute form, there is increase in the spine density, and in a chronic form, there is an expansion of the basolateral amygdala dendrites. So we are not concerned about that. What happens because of that? What happens because of these acute and chronic stresses? There is an increase in the anxiety and the post-traumatic stress disorder-like behaviors in that person. So moving on to the hippocampus, the stress we all know that whenever you are under stress, there is a release of hormone cortisol. So in some people, this cortisol makes you eat more. So when you are under stress, certain people gain weight, because cortisol is known as the obesity hormone also. It increases the tendency to eat. It increases the hunger center. It triggers the hunger centers of the brain. So they were the first ones to shrink in the hippocampus whenever there is stress. And as a result of that, the spatial and episodic memory and the mood regulation, that goes for a toss. So that is disturbed. And as a result, you may have certain psychological issues, and if untreated, they may move on to psychiatric issues. Now, here it is important to understand that that fine difference between the psychological issues and the psychiatric issues. In a psychological issue, you are able to get back to normal with certain therapies. But when it becomes a psychiatric issue, it becomes a major issue where medication is required. It becomes incumbent to give medications to such people. So when we are aware of these things, then only we are able to take steps or appropriate steps at an appropriate time. So because you are our scientific students of science, so it's essential that I must correlate whatever I'm going to tell you, in terms of scientific explanation. Then what is the biology of positive psychology? None of this will happen. That this was the easiest slide to make for you. So none of these changes will happen. But what will happen? A lot of research has been done, and I have acknowledged this research, this paper by Alexander et al. That was published in 2021. They have arrived at a pro forma for practicing positive psychology, and how positive emotions affect over a period of time affect your happiness and well-being. So if you in this picture, if you look at the left side, we can see the cognitive control. So the center, the green positive emotions, represents the hippocampus and the amygdala. So whenever there are positive emotions, they lead to better cognitive control. And whenever you have a better cognitive control, you have better social relationships. When you have socially satisfying relationships, then you have, there is an increase in the positive emotion. And this positive emotion then leads to happiness. And happiness is as an individual trait. Well-being is much more widely encompassing. It also involves the physical aspect. So happiness then leads to increased well-being. So you can see that whenever you are in a positive state of mind, you have a better cognitive control. The activities, the strategies and interventions that you process for your daily activities, they cultivate positive emotions in return. So this is a flow chart that has been arrived at by this was a happy affectome project. It was a meta-analysis that was done by Alexander et al. And it was a big study that was done. And they have finally tried to sort of summarize their findings into this one picture. And this is a very effective picture, if you see, to be able to understand scientifically what and how these positive emotions help you. But what we are concerned here are the tips that we can have, for practicing positive. I'm saying habits. Psychology is a very wide term. Tips for practicing positive habits is being given by, again, Dr. Martin Seligman in terms of PERMA. That's a short form, that's a mnemonic that he has given. So P here stands for the positive emotions. Positive emotions is what we feel. We feel joy, we feel pleasure, we feel comfort, warmth. These are all positive emotions that we want to feel. But you will feel emotions only when they are backed by certain positive actions also. So what are these positive actions that will lead to these positive emotions? Second one is E for engagement. So you have to, ascertain that you are fully absorbed in stimulating activities, things that give you comfort, that make you happy, that give you a purpose in life. These are all activities that you must engage in on a daily basis, because that is going to give rise to positive emotions. Third is the relationships. The relationships that first of all you have with yourself. That is most important. And then the relationships that you are sharing with others, that has to be positive. It has to be nurturing and rewarding. So that can happen with the mother and kid relationship. It can be between friends. It can be with your teachers. So I'm giving you a scenario there are two scenarios in a classroom where you have one teacher who is very encouraging. So even the sort of silliest of questions that you may say, she has the patience to answer them. She will not snub you at why you're asking such questions. Don't ask me these questions. So, and on the other hand, there is a teacher who will snub you at all, because she does not want to answer it, because that's how she has been brought up, or that is what she has seen. So these are two situations that happen with us on a daily basis in the classroom as students. So where are the positive emotions coming from? The positive emotions will be generated in the class of a teacher who is open to all sorts of questions and who acts as a sort of a friend with the students. So these kind of relationships have to be nurtured in our, around us. So when later on, after you are a student and you move on to a workplace, there are so many workplaces where they say it's a toxic workplace. The colleagues, whether they are junior colleagues or senior colleagues, they are not, very sharing a very positive camaraderie while working. So for a human being, an idea for a normal human being, having a positive workspace is equally important to increase the positivity and the productive output of that person. So that is the reason why you have to encourage positive relationships whenever you are working in, maybe in a classroom or office space or wherever you are, even while traveling in a bus. Then the fourth one is meaning. So you should always think of an activity or a project that serves some purpose that is larger than oneself. So once you are a student, you have short-term goals, and then you have some long-term goals, and then you have some life goals. So in those life goals, you also have to have a purpose later on, wherein you want to serve on a larger scale through your abilities, through your skills. And that is one thing that you have to decide right now while you are a student, or as you are going or going ahead in your studies. You will be coming across so many issues where you can contribute, and that is something that you need to decide and keep it as the last goal, where you have to reach. Then the last is the accomplishment. It is the pursuit of achievement and mastery. All of us are doing it, isn't it? You are trying to be best in your studies, you're trying to achieve good marks, trying to give competitive exams and excel in them because you want to pursue higher studies. So these are all 5 tips or 5 ways of practicing positive psychology. Because always remember that habits will turn into thoughts, thoughts will turn into actions, and then actions will turn into the mindset. So you have to reach on a daily basis, when you practice positive thinking, positive attitude, positive emotions, these are all there by practice. You have to practice because you have to choose positive over negative. And that is how, once it becomes your mindset, then things become easy. Then you don't have to struggle on a daily basis. Any coming out of any negative situation would be very easy for you. So let's put these things into or whatever I have said so far into very simple terms. What are some of the strategies for increasing happiness in your life? Focus on the problem solving part, not just the venting. Sometimes you're talking to friends, this has happened, you're just spreading negativity because you are feeling negative inside. What you have to see is, once you talk to somebody about your problem, you have to focus on how to solve that problem. Second is take time to build quality relationships with supportive people. And quality means you have to give time, you have to give the emotion also to that person. The emotional availability also should be there. Third is count your blessings and practice gratitude. This is the most important thing. And I'm sure somewhere or the other, all of us have heard, somebody or the other has said that you have to practice gratitude. But have you ever practiced? Just do that today. Do it for once. Let's all thank, let's thank God for giving us Swami Vivekananda, because of whom we are able to attend this lecture today. So even any point of life can be life-changing. And that is why in our, our elders and our parents often say, Jo hota hai, acha hota hai. Whatever happens for the good. We are not able to see this immediately in the acute phase, but later on, you will realize that this small instance in the continuum of your time or in the continuum of your life was significant in a positive way, even though it appeared negative. But this attitude, developing this attitude of seeing the positive even in the negative situation, will come with happiness, it will come with gratitude, and it will come with positive habits. Take time to engage in the random acts of kindness. Respond actively and constructively. Celebrate when others are sharing good news with you, because if you always think, sometimes it does happen. It's too, I would say, you will say that it is too easy to say, but it is very difficult to practice. But I'm sure, and I agree with you, because I have also gone through those stages with the share. If somebody shares their good news with you, it's not always that you are very happy for them, because you might be also wanting to be there where they are, and you did not get that opportunity. But at that point of time, you should think positive, in the sense that if that person is there, has reached or achieved what he's sharing today, then even I can do it. So it may not be now, but it may happen later on. Then attend to others mindfully. So whenever there are guests in your home, whenever you're talking to someone, your parents, your teachers, you be in the moment, be with them. It's not that you are talking and then you are totally, nowadays this phone and the mobile and the internet is such a big distraction, that you are totally, somebody is talking to you and you are on the phone continuously. So that is not mindfulness. Mindfulness is being in the moment, enjoying that moment with the other person, whatever you are talking, and practice compassion and empathy. Again, a practice word is important, because nothing of this comes automatically. With so much of negativity around in this, so much of competition, this race to get ahead, all of these things, it's only by practice that you will achieve what we are talking about today. Be kind to yourself. Don't be overtly critical. You have, or do not try to be a perfectionist at all situations, at all given situations, because if you are overtly critical, you are sort of demoralizing yourself. So that again brings you down. It will not give you the confidence to move ahead. Then preserve or savor the experiences, because this will intensify and prolong your enjoyment. So if you are eating, so that is why it is said, while watching television, do not eat, because you don't enjoy what you are eating. Whereas for the food to act properly on your body and give you the necessary nutrients, you should savor each and every spoon of food that you are having. Set meaningful goals for your life, and that provide structure and purpose, and it gives you a sense of identity. Sometimes it's very difficult, I understand. Sometimes it's difficult to set goals. Nonetheless, you should always try to arrive at that point. Do not quit that, okay, I am confused, I don't have a goal, and therefore I'm not going to reach anywhere. This is the kind of self-talk you should avoid. Try, if you keep going, there will come a time with the help, sometimes some conversation, there could be one lightning moment where you will realize that, okay, this is my goal, this is my sense of purpose, this is my purpose in life. So, and these are the last few tips. Build an intrinsic motivation. Do not depend on others for motivating you. There should be few things that you have to follow every day, and that is each to his own. I would like to, whenever I was going in for entrance examinations and I was facing failures, there was this particular ghazal by Jagjit Singh that I would, just put on and listen to it again and again, and that would put me back on track. So everybody has their own way of getting that intrinsic motivation. So find yours, because that will help you in pulling out from difficult situations. And always seek healthy challenges, because you should always try to stretch your abilities. So for example, those who are exercising, you will realize that, when you start off with small counts and then you go on with small bits and pieces, you increase the number of counts. Suppose you start off skipping, on day one, you are doing 50, then you go on to 60, 70, because why? You are stretching your abilities, because then only your body will also gain the stamina. So this is how, even on an intellectual front or on the front, your professional fronts, you must seek healthy challenges. You will try to stretch your ability in order to realize or fulfill your real true self, or the potential that you have. and appreciate what you already have rather than focusing on what you don't have. So, or what you desire, because if you keep complaining, that is not going to take you anywhere. It's always, complaining is a negative aspect. You must always be grateful for what you have and try to achieve, keep on trying to achieve what you desire, and avoid the temptation, like I said, to complain and reinforce negativity. Because you pick up a news channel, you pick up any channel these days, what we are having mostly is complaining against the government, complaining against the system. But do we ever, as citizens, responsible citizens, look within ourselves as to how much we are contributing? Why should, for example, cleanliness be a government's responsibility? How much can the government do in a populous country like ours? It has to be an individual responsibility. So this is one area where you can take up the responsibility instead of complaining. So these are few practical tips on a daily basis that mostly cover all aspects of your life, and that will help you in cultivating the optimism and practice positivity. And that this practice will also reshape your circumstances, that you will see as you go on into this path of practice. And this particular posture is very important. It not only says namaskar, it also says, it expresses gratitude, and it sort of connects it's a positive, you can say, circuit is connected between the mind and the body, and that is why we say namaskar. So thank you so much for patient listening, and I would be very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that excellent talk. It was really, really inspiring, enlightening, and I'm sure very encouraging for all of us, especially for the students who are listening to you today. You very well said, ma'am. Undoubtedly, the future of the nation is defined by the youth, but of course, the youth with an optimum mental health. And you have very well noted the importance of mental health with the nation's development and progress. So many thanks, ma'am. The topic you have picked up was super relevant. So after the end of this inclusive lecture, I would say, if you kindly allow, we can have some quick questions. So
Yeah, sure. That
okay.
I guess Dr. Meena will be very happy to, or rather we are privileged that we have an expert with us who can relate to the queries and the concerns, because otherwise we had to go to Brain Behavior Research Foundation for that purpose, and then appointment must have been needed. So yeah,
Okay.
please.
So
I
with
would
that,
request audience to, on behalf of Kapila, I would request audience to kindly, have their whatever queries in very short time. We will be winding it up after the queries, but yeah, please.
Yeah. Ma'am, one, may I?
Yeah, please introduce yourself, Dr. Sharma.
Yeah. Thank you, Dean Madam. We must thank our dynamic Dean Madam for organizing such a wonderful lecture. It was really very, nice lecture, very useful for the student community and for us also. So, Dr. Mishra, I want to know that what is the connection between this stress and then, insulin resistance? Because we are noticing that when we are in stress, our, glucose level jumps. So, blood glucose level. So what is the relationship between this stress and, diabetes management, I should say rather?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sharma. This is a very, very relevant question in today's times, because you see, India is sort of a diabetes capital, and we came to realize only during COVID that we got so many diabetic cases during COVID, because I think they were being tested for the first time. And that also shows how much stressed out as a nation we are. And coming to your question, why stress increases diabetes or insulin resistance? So like I told you, if you remember my lecture, I told that whenever there is stress, the hippocampus releases glucocorticoid or corticosterol. So it is not only your adrenal gland, it's a gland on top of the kidney, sitting on top of the kidney. It's that along with the hippocampus that also is releasing them. And because of the cortisol, there is an increase in the blood sugar level. So this cortisol will either sort of inspire you to eat more so that the body gets more glucose, or there are people on the other hand who lose weight when they are under stress. Why that happens? Because then then the body starts releasing glucose from the muscles, from the fat, whatever the fat is stored, it is converted into glucose and it is made available for the insulin. All right. And there comes a time with chronic stress that your pancreas has a limit, an ability to a limited ability to increase to secrete insulin. But if you are constantly under stress and the constant release is happening, there will be exhaustion of the cells, because first cells are in overdrive because of insulin demand. And after some time, the function will, because of overuse. I hope you're understanding this.
Yes, yes.
Because of this constant overuse of pancreas, the insulin production gets depleted. So that is one aspect. Another aspect is, if you eat too much and the excess of this energy is stored in the form of fat in the body, you gain weight, and again insulin resistance happens, because these fat cells have a a receptor which blocks the action of insulin on the body, and again insulin resistance happens. So that is why we say that if there is an overweight person, first of all you reduce the weight. So even in insulin IDDM, insulin dependence, the diabetes mellitus, that we say, weight loss is the first advice that doctors give to you in case you are overweight.
Thank you so
Alright.
much.
Yeah. So I would
thank you.
request, students, because I am for my students. So that's why, Dr. Meena, you're here. So I would request my students to, come up with 1 or 2 queries, which are going to benefit you through the expert advice of Dr. Meena. Yes, I would request students. Yeah, Shubhashish.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a query to ask.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a nice lecture. It was excellent. I must say that whatever you have told, that actually just blow up our mind, I just say. Ma'am, I have a query that you have told us that to practice such positive emotions and tell us some strategy to implement those. Ma'am, I just want to know that we are trying something from ourselves also, that we are keep motivating ourselves that we have to manage our time, we have to do this thing in that way, we have to maintain our relationship or positive engagement in that way. So ma'am, my query is that how we can consistent with our self motivation, how we can train our brain to be motivated in such a way that we can consistent with our actions.
Right, Subhashi, that is a very practical question that you have asked, and thank you for asking this. It's a difficult task to keep yourself motivated towards a particular goal, because there will come a dip time. There will definitely come a time when you will feel demotivated and you will not feel like doing anything. And whenever that happens, give yourself a break. Because in this journey of practicing positive emotions and keeping yourself motivated, you have to travel long. You have to take up it's a long journey. So you need to take breaks in between. And because it is something which is new to you, it is not an inherent aspect of your personality. Therefore, it is going to take some effort. For some, it is easier. For some, it takes a longer time. So do not compare your journey with somebody else. But it is, it is fruitful and it is worth doing as long as you are on that path. So whenever that happens, you are feeling demotivated. Like I said, I had my own ghazal of Jagjit Singh that I would listen to. And after some time, I would be on that path. Some people have certain books. So whenever you are demotivated, just start reading that book. You will come back to your normal self, to your, sought after gravity, center of gravity. So,
Yes.
but even not, if so there are times when nothing might work, then just chill out in front of the television.
Okay.
Do whatever you
Thank you.
want for some time. Give your okay, I will do it for today. From tomorrow, I'll try to get back on the track. But if this thing is continuing, for example, if this thing is continuing for more than 6 weeks and you're not getting back to the normal routine and you're still feeling demotivated, I would really recommend that you take the help of a psychologist.
Okay,
You know,
sure.
it should not carry on for more than 6 weeks.
This is what is the, I would say, the real statement which, madam, you have made, that the audience who are here, I think we better understand that it is time to really, it's not consulting a psychologist is really not something which is something you are going in for some disease or something of yours that has to be hidden. All of us need someone to relate to really not be judgmental and yet, understand and then help us. And so this is what, my students and of course the young faculty and, all learned colleagues are here. I can't say to them, but of course, the take home message of Madam Meena is this last one, that we have to be vigilant also about this part also, that if it is continuing and we are not getting respite out of it, then we have to reach out rather than, making ourselves within that well of negativity. So that is all positivity. Yeah.
Yes, and I would like to just add here, Mom, that we have our circle of friends. Sometimes friends are very therapeutic, and any grave concerns that you might be having, you just discuss, and you yourself get solutions. But these things, sometimes you have to be also vigilant, not for yourself, for people around you.
Yeah.
If you are seeing these sudden changes, then you must try to help them by referring them at least to a psychologist. So do not think that going to a psychologist is a taboo. It is considered a taboo, but you have to understand that these are trained people, highly trained people, who are talking to you not just for the sake of talking. They are talking to you in a very structured way, and that is there behind in their mind, because they have been trained like this. They want to extract certain amount of information so that they'll be able to help you. So do not allow yourself, as even though I'm a medical person and I am into prescribing medications and all that, but I strongly believe that more than 90% or 95% rather of the problems that we are having in India can be cured, but just by going to a psychologist at the appropriate time. So if you do not take a psychologist's help and you keep on ignoring it, and thinking that what will others say if I go to a psychologist? Well, forget about others. Nobody is going to help you in your times of need. It is you have to help yourself. So do not, and with today, these days we have so many online platforms where you can, if you are feeling shy or you're feeling fearful of your reputation, at least you can take help online through the online counseling. So that also is there, very convenient nowadays. So do not take it as a taboo. We are all educated people. We must, our prime aim as an individual is towards our body. We have to take care of our body and our mind, both. They are both integral to our well-being. And once you have done that, then comes your career, then comes your children, then comes your family. But keep yourself healthy first. That is your utmost, that is your prime duty.
Thank you.
So maybe quickly 1 or 2 questions more we can take.
From faculty, our honorable HODs, professors, our PDWTC, if anyone, or the other students and the faculty. There are so many.
Ma'am, there is a question. There is a question by Priyanka Singh. She says, how to overcome anxiety problem?
Okay. Wonderful question, I guess, related to students.
It's a very common problem nowadays. We all are facing at any stage of life. Even children, these days, class 3 and 4 children also are having anxiety issues. So what is most important, you have to realize, first of all, what is the cause of your anxiety. That accepting that as a problem itself is the first step towards healing. And then you have to also figure out if you can figure out yourself, or else take the help of a specialist or take the help of a friend who can, give you certain guidance. Sometimes teachers in whom you have trust also help as a good guide. But if none of these, then you can move on. You can definitely take the help of a specialist. You have to find out why you are having anxiety issues. It's a very, a general question that you have asked, Priyanka, because you generally, as students, if I see, you are anxious because you're not able to complete a certain task on time. You have not achieved a certain target that you had set for yourself, and or you have a sort of thought, or you have made this goal of coming excelling in your studies, but you have not reached there. So these are few things that because of which you have anxiety. Or also, nowadays we have those body image issues because of so much of internet and all these images that are coming over. So sometimes the reputation, the body image issues, and all of these things are happening, because of which you develop anxiety. So really you have to analyze yourself first, why these issues are coming in. And if suppose you have not achieved a target on time, then you have to analyze whether you had made a realistic target or not. If you want to complete an entire book in a day, that's not possible. So your reading speed, your learning speed might be different. So set goals according to your speed and try to finish them a small portion every day. Certain actions you can take. But again, like I said, if this anxiety issue is being persistent for more than 6 weeks, please take the help of a specialist.
Dr.
Because there
Meena,
are many techniques.
Yeah, Dr. Meena, we have another question, from student, that how to get over the brooding that I should have given back the same coin by reacting instantly, but did not because of many reasons.
All right. So the only thing I can say, it's a very hard-hitting fact, but there are two ways to go about it. Sometimes you should have given an instant reaction, because then and there things would have taken care of itself if you had reacted. But sometimes, or most of the times rather, giving an instant reaction is not good. It would have turned the other way around. It would have been harmful for you. So then in those cases, instead of brooding, you should try to reason out with yourself that, if you had reacted instantly, what could have gone wrong? And hence you were saved by not reacting. And so you have done a good job by not reacting. And it is most of the time you have to take an action. You should not react. This is the first and foremost thing I would like to tell you. Take action. Do not react. And action means you choose to say something, or you choose not to say something. So it's a very vague question. The only general answer that I can give you is that sometimes not reacting is the best way out. And you have to reason out with yourself that whatever you have done, or the other way to reason out is, jo bhi hua, acha hua. Whatever has happened for the good. And stop brooding about it, because it's taking your mind space, which you can utilize in other constructive activities.
To add to what
Thank you, ma'am. I am a faculty, not a student. I am continuing.
Okay, Dr. Ram. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So, well, my just, a supplement to supplement what Dr. Meena is saying, based on the experience, whatever little experience that I had to my students, is that there is nothing to react. It is only a need-based response. That is only so it is just to take a pause, stop a little, and then respond only if it is needed. I think that will also take care. Am I right, Dr. Meena?
Yeah.
This is
absolutely.
how, I practice. Yeah. Dr. Mansingh, our
because this narrative.
Here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My compliments to Dr. Meena Mishraji for a very good lecture, enlightening lecture. The narrative which was just going on with regard to the question, a very crisp phrase has been made. Act, just don't react.
Exactly, sir. I do agree with you.
That will take care.
Yes.
Thank you. This much submission.
Yes. And Archana Singh has written that how can we point the triggers of the anxiety? Is there any psychological test for that? There are, but it is best done by trained specialists like psychologists. So do consult if this anxiety is giving you a problem, if it is hampering with your day-to-day activities, if it is affecting your productivity. That is the time when you should take help of a specialist.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So I think it's time to wind up. But before that, I will like to also share with the audience here that this new year, there was a specific purpose of, choosing this particular topic, this particular speaker, and a lot of thanks, Dr. Meena, to you, because this is just a beginning of relationship, I guess, between IRI and Brain Behavior Research Foundation, as I can get it, because we are in process of creating a wellness and well-being center at IARI, and then to have on the panel with people like you and the experts from your institute and the other institutes, so that because we are very well aware that as the university size is growing, the expectations of the faculty from students and of the students from faculty is growing. So there is a need actually to create that thing. So we will definitely, look forward for further more interactions with you. And I really thank you for that. Yeah. Dr. Kapila, over to you,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure there are still many more questions, but today, as ma'am said, time allows only this much. So, but as ma'am said again, that we look forward to have these sessions, and I'm sure we will have you with us again. So thank you so much, ma'am, for that very positive interaction. And before we close, I'd urge Dr. Atul Kumar Singh, Honorable Associate Dean IRI, to propose word of thanks for today's function.
Thank you, Dr. Kapila. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. In the beginning, I would like to thank the eminent speaker of this function, Dr. Meena Mishra ma'am, for a very fluent and mesmerizing lecture. Means, ma'am, we say well begun is half done. So this is the first lecture of the series that we have planned in the year to come. And in cricket, ma'am, we say when the opening batsman plays well, the rest of the team follows well. So you are just an opening batsman for us, and you have played well. And we are very happy by listening to you. All the faculties, everyone is happy. And we thank from the heart of, on behalf of all the participants for listening to this lecture. Then, ma'am, because ma'am, the stress has become the integral part of everyone's life, and the way you have told how to tackle all these things, it's really wonderful. I would like to thank the Honorable Director and the Vice Chancellor of this deemed university, under whose guidance and supervision we are progressing leaps and bounds. I'd also like to thank the respected Dean ma'am for her meticulous planning in organization of this event, especially the selection of the speaker. Ma'am, we say in Hindi, pratyaksham kim pramanam, means pratyaksh ko praman ki avashyakta nahi hoti hai. Right now, we are at the end of the this program, and still almost 300 people are along with us. And we had reached a level of more than 330 at one point of time. So this speaks of the kind of lecture that you have delivered, that people are, means basically they are glued to the TV screen, the way we say in different matches, ma'am. A word of appreciation goes to all the joint directors of the institutes for their valuable presence for this particular lecture. A special thanks is due to the whole team of the academic events planning and management, led by Dr. Burman, under the the anchor Dr. Kapila Shekhawat. And then thanks are due to all the faculty, the staff members, and most important of all, the students for whom we had organized this event. They have joined in large numbers. Thanks to each one of them. Thanks to one and all. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.